Hey folks, well I've already made multiple videos in this channel explaining how to build a level 20 twink. One thing I haven't demonstrated before is my exact route through every single Heroic MoP dungeon. Now, for most people, this won't be super important, since level 20 twink boosting is more about building your character to a point where it can one-shot stuff. From there, all you really need to do is hold W through the dungeon and slaughter everything in your path. However, if you've decided to pick Demon Hunter as your level 20 booster, there are a few absolutely broken strategies that allow you to complete dungeons faster than any other class in the game. This is why I've always said that at maximum investment, Havoc Demon Hunter is your best option, and hopefully by the end of this video you'll understand why. Before I get into the runs, I want to give a quick explanation on the structure of this video. In order to very clearly show the difference between Demon Hunters and other classes, I'll be doing 2 separate runs for all 5 Heroic MoP dungeons that are available to level 20s. The first run for each dungeon will be completed by my level 20 Hpriest, which is the main character that I've been using for boosts. These runs will still be very optimized, since my priest is very geared, but they'll be relatively linear runs through the dungeons which hit all bosses in the regular order. This is the type of run that you can expect to see from most non-DH classes, though your exact times will vary depending on what you're playing. The second run of each dungeon will be performed using my level 70 Demon Hunter, which currently has 300,000 threads. Despite the fact that this character is level 70 and not level 20, all of the skips that I'll show in this video can be performed regardless of your level. In fact, most level 20s can probably complete the dungeons even faster than I will here, due to how broken scaling is at lower levels. Lastly, while I will be including Stormstout Brewery in this video since it is accessible by level 20s, it's the slowest dungeon of the 5 by far, and I'd recommend avoiding it if you plan on leveling characters. The easiest way to do this is by running with characters in the 10 to 19 range, and you can easily accomplish this yourself by making an additional starter account and queuing for dungeons as a group of 3. With all of that out of the way, let's jump into the dungeon runs, starting with Temple of the Jade Serpent. Alright, so kicking things off with a classic Temple of the Jade Serpent. This one I'm sure many people have seen how quickly it can be done, but most of the runs you see are with Demon Hunter and Monk, so let's see how Hpriest stacks up. So I will go ahead and start the timer, going to immediately Chi-Ji, because there's not really many great use cases for it later on, and I'm going to try to start the Wise Mari RP as quickly as I possibly can. Now, I need to make sure that I'm killing this guy as quickly as I can. Alright. Actually slowed a little bit. Do this. And Heroic Leap there. You can bypass the wall. I'm going to tag all this stuff. End it all up. Those mobs are evading. That's a little bit annoying. Should be fine, though. Tag her. I'm gonna save my Touch of Death, because I want to go over here, tag Shaw Bride. And... boom. Just over 1 minute. So overall, pretty good. It's nowhere near the speed of some of the speedruns that I'm sure you've seen. And on that note, let's go see how fast Demon Hunter can do this. Okay, so for Temple of the Jade Serpent on a Demon Hunter, you've probably already seen this done a million times. It has been very popular in the community. And that being said, there's a lot of different ways to approach this dungeon on a Demon Hunter. You may have seen the trick I'm going to use, you may not have, but I can say one thing. This is the final dungeon that I'm recording out of all the ones in the video, despite including it first. On a Demon Hunter, these tricks are brutal. Doing all of them perfectly in a single run, despite it being very fast, is not easy. I'm going to do my best, but I've failed at least one thing every time. But I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to start the timer, quickly turn my camera, and try to get a Heroic Leap there. Took a little bit longer than I would have liked, but we're fine. Then we're going to run over here. I'm going to drop Oblivion Sphere right around there. I need to wait a few seconds. It's going to blow up Wise Mari. It doesn't fully kill him. Now, if I had a much beefier cloak, I could one-shot him, so I'm effectively losing 10 seconds relative to what I could do if my character was ludicrously overpowered. You'll also know that there are Windwalker monks who can Touch of Death him. That is one of the reasons Windwalker used to be a very popular option. Now the part that is really annoying. I'm going to do this. Double jump, Fell Rush. Oh my god, I got it. Jesus. Okay. Like, for reference, that is about, like, 20-ish seconds slower than what some people have done for this. But this has also just been an insanely optimized dungeon. And, like I said, I lose about 10 seconds on Wise Mari because I have a very, very, very powerful cloak. You can see the stats here. I have 313,000 threads in total. And yet this pales in comparison to what some people have, and I'm barely off being able to one-tap him there. I get him down to 18% with the Oblivion Sphere. In theory, if you do that, you can just run straight to Shoved Out, and you don't need to finish him off, which saves a little bit of time. But either way, doing that wall clip to Shoved Out after Wise Mari is generally going to be the fastest. This wall clip is much harder than it looks. You need to hit the exact right spot. Sometimes it drops you outside of the wall. If it does drop you through, if you don't perfectly double jump in place and fell rush, you fall through the floor and then have to run all the way back and start it again. Every single one of these tricks, like the heroic leap at the start, it is very, very, very precise, and nailing them all first try is absolutely brutal. But, I mean, hey, it is very fast. All right, for Scarlet Halls, first, we do it on a Hpriest. I'll start my timer. Drop my feather. Do 1 Holy Nova there. It's going to take 2 there. Drop feather again. I'm going to wait until they shoot me. I'm going to get knocked back. And you use my Chastise there. Now, I use Chastise to one-shot it, but I bank it. I double tap. Touch of Death. Haha. But I won't die. We're going to wait. Then the moment that guy dies, dash through, Chi-Chi. We're going to skip the optional boss because who cares about him? We're going to dash to the ends. Do that. We have a full Rhapsody charged up. 1, 2, boom. Under a minute for that one. Pretty fast. So, honestly, this is like one of the fastest dungeons in a Hpriest. This is one of those where whenever I get Scarlet Halls, I am happy because you can just zip right through here with Chi-Chi and skip most of it. Blink to skip the little guard RP saves a few seconds. It's overall a really fast dungeon. But if you think that's fast, well, wait until you see how Demon Hunter does this. Okay, Scarlet Halls is wild. This is one of the most technical dungeons, so I'm going to quickly open up macros and show you that there is a Fell Rush macro I'm going to be using. I'll put this in the video description or a pinned comment. I'm not sure what's going to be easier, but you have to use this for part at the end. You'll see when I'm using it. It basically lags me out when I press Fell Rush, so I get frozen in place in midair, and then I can jump higher. It is really, really, really weird, but it's kind of necessary unless you do some other tricks. And the placement on this stuff is really finicky. I'll try to get it done. This is like my 6th attempt at recording this. We'll see. So I'm going to go ahead and start the timer. I'm going to position myself right here. And, oh my god, I got it. Holy shit, you have no idea how many times I've tried to do that and failed, and it has just been miserable. And oh my god, it's just, oh, I'm so glad that I'm finally done recording this dungeon. Okay, we're gonna jump, stop in place, jump again, stop in place, and here. And then I'm gonna go over here, gonna Fell Rush to the boss. We're gonna do that. And it didn't really get any procs, so it took me a little bit. That was just over 30 seconds, I think. So, obviously that is ludicrously fast, skipping all the way to Flameweaver Kogler, and I did that very, very, very slowly, because, as I said, it is super, super finicky. That part with Chi-Chi you can do with Vengeful Retreat as well, but obviously then it slows you down a little bit, because you're not hovering in the air, so you get less air control time. There are, like, little slow fall toys that you can use to give yourself more time in Chi-Chi form and get, like, a little bit more distance. This trick is really, really complicated and hard to pull off properly, and it is extremely precise. If you want to get it yourself, I highly suggest going back and looking at the exact spot on the ground that I was standing, because if you aren't on, like, that exact tile, then you're just going to hit the wall and fall down, and it won't clip you through correctly. That is why I took, like, 3 seconds at the start to very carefully line myself up, because if I was ever so slightly off, it would have failed. And the Fell Rush thing, basically, you press Fell Rush, then hands off keyboard, and you're hovering in midair. That's how this works. So I can turn my camera around. If I do any movement whatsoever, it'll screw me up. But then I can actually double jump off here, Fel Rush again, and I'm still stationary, and I can use this to go through the ceiling there. Obviously, there was no hitbox, but that is how that trick worked. That is how that trick worked, how I was able to basically scale up into this hallway, because otherwise you need to carry like a really long Chi-Ji with slow fall, and that is extremely difficult to do. But anyways, as you can see, significantly faster than doing the other two bosses, Demon Hunters are broken in this dungeon. Alright, for Scarlet Monastery, it's a little bit similar to Scarlet Halls. We're going to start the timer here. Going to run as fast as I possibly can over to Blood Mage Thalnos. Tagging this. Then we Chi-Chi. It's a little bit tricky to do that backflip, but it saves a tiny, tiny, tiny bit of time. Alright. And I am stopping to loot, which is losing, like, maybe a second tops. Want to kill him as close to there as possible. Just making sure he doesn't get dragged at all. That activates White Mane. Now, this is a little bit tricky. You can't blink out of this, unfortunately. It's a little bit tricky if you are in a group, because a lot of times, like when boosting, I will actually drag him into the corner. Because if somebody is like in the doorway, there we go, just over a minute. If somebody's standing in the doorway, it can screw up, and if he runs outside, the boss actually resets. So a lot of times I'll eat like a 5-second time loss when boosting with other people, just to like kite him all the way back here. That way the bosses are usually too far away to dash to anybody in the doorway. So if you have him dash to the doorway, you lose a lot of time, and in pugs, it's worth trying to avoid that. Now we can see how Demon Hunter does this, which for this one isn't that significant of a difference. Alright, so as crazy as a lot of the other Demon Hunter strategies are, for Scarlet Monastery, there's really not a lot that we can do, aside from just be generally efficient with what we're doing. So I'm going to start the timer. We're just going to dash ahead. And really, we're just trying to clear this place as fast as reasonably possible. Kill Thalnos. I'm going to pop Chi-Ji. And a wall there. You can double jump in Chi-Ji, which is kind of nice. Oh. Minor misclick. Just gonna try to kill him quickly. Really, the entire thing about optimizing this is trying to get White Mane to be as fast as possible. So we're gonna start her "Arise, my champion" stuff. And then deal with these guys. I'm gonna use Essence Break, and done. So, under a minute, which doing this dungeon in under a minute is pretty damn good in my opinion. It's definitely hard to really optimize all that stuff, but there's no crazy skips that you can do like in all the other ones that make Demon Hunter that much faster. It's really just all about move speed and generally being efficient with how quickly you kill the mobs. Alright, Scholomance. So for this one, I'm going to be running Heroic Leap. I will start the timer. We're going to leap right over there. Tag the boss. Do this. And get the Phylactery. Now here I can Chi-Ji. And this one is kind of odd. So I'm going to tag Jandis Brav, and then I'm going to hands off keyboard completely. In fact, I might actually end up doing too much damage. I think it might be just enough. Yes, perfect. Exactly enough damage. Alright, and then we're going to run over here. We're going to Shadow Word Pain on every single one of these Bone Weavers. If you don't have enough damage to just kill them like this, you can LOS them, and that works too. The thing about Jandis Brav, was going so fast it was hard to explain, but you want to make sure that she does Wondrous Rapidity, because if you damage her too much, she'll go into her clone phase, and that loses a lot of time. So I intentionally didn't attack her to make that cast start so that I could kill her before it matters. Theoretically, you could just one-shot her, but in Heroic Dungeons, it's difficult to have enough damage to actually do that to 100 over. So we're going to Heroic Leap over here. We're going to start the Lillian Voss RP. Gonna kill these meat grafts. You know, just so it's not chasing me. Now turn your lovely rune blades on our guests. Right. You can loot the chest because there's roleplay anyways. I can't actually go through this door, you'll notice. And we're gonna hop this. Just hop down. Heroic Leap. Alright. And done. Just over 2 minutes. Not too bad. Not too bad. I mean, Scholomance is one of those dungeons where it's relatively long. All things considered, having to kill all those bosses, it's a little bit rough. But now, you may be thinking to yourself, I thought that you said that Stormstout Brewery was a pretty slow dungeon. This also seems pretty slow relative to some of the other ones. So, like, why is this still worth doing? Well, see, you haven't realized that if you're a Demon Hunter, things are just fucking crazy. Alright, well, Scholomance on a Demon Hunter, this is gonna be crazy. Alright, so first we're going to start the timer, and I'm gonna dash ahead. Need to kill the Risen guards, so we're just gonna blitz through these really quick. I'm gonna jump up on this platform. We're gonna head in here. I'm gonna drop a seesaw right here, which I have a keybind for. There is a way to get this a bit more consistently, but it's really, really tricky to pull off, so I'm just gonna do it this way. This makes it a little bit easier. Then we're gonna go into Chi-Ji form. Do that. Do our Chi-Ji dashes. And we're gonna drop down into the abyss here. And that is Dark Master Ganling. We're gonna kill him, and time. Now, you can do that even faster. There are other wall clips within Scholomance that let you reach Ganling like a few seconds earlier, but they are very, very, very difficult to pull off. The trick about that one is you're going up top, so there's less of a chance of failing. There's like ways that you can fall through the middle of Scholomance and like avoid all of the other rooms and just barely clip in through like this section and reach him, but then if you fail, you fall into the abyss, and then you get stuck in a DC loop for like an hour. It's brutal. I had to use character unstuck when I last tried that one. Don't really like it because it is very inconsistent. There's also ways that you can speed up the seesaw trick a little bit, but I mean, 38 seconds for Scholomance, that is still absolutely ludicrous. Alright, Stormstout Brewery. So this is one that I mentioned before. I think that you should generally skip. You're going to want to try to queue with a level 10 to 19 to avoid actually getting this, but it is possible to get this as a level 20, so I still want to make sure that I include it in this video, and there are still ways that you can save a little bit of time. There's a few different ways to go about this, but I will just start the timer, and we'll see how I do this. So first, we're going to go through with Feather. I'm going to try and Heroic Leap up the stairs. Nice. I'm going to do this so I don't blow myself up, because I have done that before. And then we need to crash the Ook party. So do that. Feather again. It's a little bit tricky depending on where they spawn. It can take a little bit faster or shorter, hard to say. Alright, do that. Go. Going to Heroic Leap over there. Now I'm going to try to avoid using Holy Nova while going through here. It's going to lose me a little bit of time clearing the mobs, but it will save me time when we get to the boss. It's really hard to fight the muscle memory to press it, though. Okay, we need to do that. Do that. This should be good. Then we just need to wait for Hoptalis. And generally speaking, you want to use Heroic Leap for this dungeon, because you can leap there, then Shiji, and dash up here. And there's a lot of running distance here, and the slowest part of this dungeon is this roleplay here. Well, I actually didn't pull any of those brew elementals. Okay. I probably won't end up having Chastise up for the boss, but that's fine. More corn. Okay. Just gonna kill the trash. Okay. Then we have the boss. Boss can be a little bit annoying because sometimes if you don't kill him fast enough, carbonation will make it really annoying because you'll get silenced. I should be able to kill him fast enough. Oh, he actually mitigated my damage a little bit. Alright, 2.5 minutes. So, that's like slightly slower than my Priest Scholomance time. It's not terrible, but hopefully you can understand why you, generally speaking, want to avoid this. Obviously, you know, Demon Hunters can cheese Scholomance and it actually becomes a fast dungeon, but for most people it's going to be a slower one, and this one's even worse than that. And we'll see how Demon Hunter does this, but as you'll kind of notice, because a lot of the time loss is in the roleplay, which obviously there's no way to parkour your way around roleplay, at least not usually, so it's going to be pretty slow for Demon Hunter as well. Alright, so Stormstout Brewery, obviously, this one, you can't speed up too much. The final boss is a lot of roleplay, but there are still fancy Demon Hunter skips that we will be using. So, I'm using Thundering Orb for this one. It's the only dungeon, at least in this set, where I'm going to be using it. And I'm going to go ahead and start the timer. We're going to leap. My cursor was fucked there a little bit. We're going to jump up on this little incense burner. It's a little bit tricky getting this, but I want to make sure I do it right. Clip through the ceiling here, then we're going to fall down through the floor. Now, this is really finicky. I've had times where I do this wrong, and I hit like a weird angle, and my game crashes. This is definitely one of the strangest skips that you can do. Alright, we're going to jump up here, soul shape, blink again. Just going to run all the way up to start the roleplay. Bell rush in, hit the door because I fucking suck. But now that the roleplay is started, we're good to go. And really now it's just a case of killing all this stuff extremely fast. So I'm going to pre-I-beam, kill it the moment it's up. There's going to be ads coming in here in a second. Going to do that. Yeah, that was pretty good. For this next set of ads, I want to use Essence Break. I think that'll be the fastest way to kill them. Essence Break into Blade Dance. For that, I missed some. Unlucky. Yeah, it's going to lose me like a second or two. And then the boss itself. Free I-beam, mistimed it a little bit. We're still good, though. Alright. About 1.5 minutes. How did my... Somehow one of the warlocks that I queued with died at the entrance of the dungeon. I have no idea what killed it. Alright, well that is it for all 5 of the dungeons that you can run as a level 20 character. Now, on screen now, I'm including some bonus footage of me failing a lot of these tricks on a Demon Hunter, because that is kind of what I want to end the video just quickly touching upon. A lot of the Demon Hunter strats, while technically fast if you pull them off perfectly, are really, really difficult to execute. Especially some of the ones that require cooldowns, so if you fail one of the skips with meta to clip through a wall, that's a 3-minute cooldown, you're fucked. If you fail a Thundering Orb skip, that's a 3-minute cooldown, you're fucked. Now, of course, you can just go through and do the dungeon normally, but it still feels bad wasting all that time doing the setup and then completely missing it. A lot of these are very precise, Scarlet Halls and Jade Serpent especially. Jade Serpent, I think, is a little bit forgiving overall. It's not too bad if you just want to do this casually, but getting all of it perfectly and not losing any time is really, really tough. And Scarlet Halls especially, nailing that Chi-Ji skip is very challenging. There were a few faster methods that I could have included that I opted to just cut because I wanted to include the really reliable stuff here that I think anybody with a little bit of practice can do and start incorporating into their runs. That being said, if there is something that I missed here, if you think there is part of one of these strats that you saw that you still don't fully understand and you want a bit of additional clarification on how I pulled this off, please let me know down in the comments. Let me know if there's something else related to level 20 twinks that you want to see covered. I do have one more video on this topic coming out regarding how to farm threads on a new character with achievements, and all of the achievements that you can get, even the ones that require you to be like boosted by a high level character. But if there's another topic that you would want to see covered, please let me know. I am open to suggestions. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you found it helpful, and I will see you in the next one.